Hi everybody, we're going to do a quick check on lesson 4. So we're just going to jump right in. So on your first one, if you are naming the point where the line crosses the y-axis, that point would be right there. And so for this particular one, that is, we went 0 and we counted down 1, 2. So it would be 0, 2. If we look at the second one, and we would see that again, we went 0, going left and right, we went 0, but we went up 1, 2, 3, 4. So that answer would be 0, 4. For the next one, again, not moving away from the y-axis. We're not going left or right because we're staying right on it. And we go up 1, 2. So that would be 0, 2. Got to go back a minute. Number 1, we went down below the x-axis, so that should be -2. Sorry about that. So that one is -2. So if you look at zeros here. That doesn't look like a 0. That looks like a 6. Let me fix that one. 0 here, 0 here. All my x coordinates are zeros. So that's why it says right here that we have a thing called a y-intercept. I should have explained that to you in the last video. You should have already known that. So the y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. But because x is always going to be 0, we just use the y-coordinate to name it. So if I was going to say, what is the y-intercept for number 1? The y-intercept is -2. What's the y-intercept here? 4. What's the y-intercept here? 2. Okay, we just use the y. All right, for number 4, we're going to do the y-intercept. So all we have to do is count up. Obviously, the x is going to be 0, so the only thing we need is that we went up 2, 3. For number 5, it goes through the origin. So what is that on the y-axis? That would be 0. And for number 6, well, what do we do here? Is this ever going to cross the y-axis no matter how long we make this line right here? No, it never is. So in this case, there is none. There is no y-intercept on that one. So number 7 asks you, or gives you the statement, you have to complete it. The y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the what? Y-axis. Number 8, B. B represents, well, it says it right here, variable used to represent the y-intercept. So number 8, need to move this over a little bit, is y-intercept. Okay, so that's it for page 1. Page 2, well, they're asking you for B. What is B? B is the y-intercept. So in this case, wait a minute, look at 9 and 10. It doesn't even cross the y-axis. What are we going to do? Well, you have to think and extend that line either in your mind or with a ruler and make the line go on. But let's say you're on your computer and you don't have a paper and you can't use a ruler. How are you going to do it? Find the slope on this. Well, if I look at the slope on this, it goes down 1 over 1. Right? So it's a -1 slope. So if we keep doing that, and we would say this went down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, it's going to hit right here at -2. So if we were to extend that line, it would hit at -2. So the y-intercept is -2. The same thing with number 10. We would have to check and find the slope. Well, how did you get from one point to another on this one? Let's see. We went up 1, 2, we went over 1, up 1, 2. So here we have to go backwards. So we have to go 1, 2, over 1, 1, 2, over 1, and we find that we're at -5. If you have questions on that, email me. I'll explain it to you with a better graph than this. I just want to go over the answers right now. So number 11, it's really nice because it does go through the y-axis, and that's just going to be your -2. All right, Number 12. Numbers 12 through 15 are reviewing a little bit on slope. So the lesson itself has been about y-intercept, but now we're going to go back and talk about slope because these two things come together in what we're really doing in this chapter. So number 12 asks, how do we find the slope of a line graphically? Well, you know how. You count. What do you count? You count rise over run. Number 13 asks, what are other terms that we can use for slope? Well, one is rate of change. The rate of change is the slope of a line. And the other one is the constant of proportionality. That's a long word. Okay? So the rate of change, constant of proportionality, and the slope are all the same thing. Number 14 asks, well, what's the slope formula? So if we can't count and use rise over run, how can we do this? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Here, let me put that over there so you can see it. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Slope formula. That's how we can find the slope. You just need 2 points that are on the line and you can find the slope of it. And finally, what letter do we use to represent slope? I don't know why it's an M, but the letter that we use to represent slope is M. We use the letter B to represent y-intercept. We use the letter M for slope. So in 16, 17, and 18, they ask you to find both the slope and the y-intercept. So they use the word slope and y-intercept for 16. They use M for slope and B for y-intercept for 17. And they use rate of change and initial value for slope and y-intercept for 18. I, on my answers, just put M and B because I'm running out of room on my board. So for number 16, the slope is -2. And the y-intercept is -3. For number 17, the slope is 1, and the y-intercept is 2. For 18, the slope or the rate of change is 2, and the initial value or the y-intercept is -5. Questions on that? Email them to me. Finally, we just have 3 review problems. On this first one, we're combining like terms. So this and this, put it over there. There you go. This and this need to go together. Those are my x terms. So 3x minus 2x is 1x, or just plain old x. And +3 and -8 equal -5. We have a binomial, 2 terms, binomial as our answer. Number 20, when we have this parenthesis, it says this guy's got to go to each one of these bases on the inside. So -2 has an exponent of 1 to start with. So we multiply, because we have this parenthesis, we multiply. 1 times 3 is 3. A also has an exponent of 1, so 1 times 3 is 3. B has an exponent of 2, so 2 times 3 is 6. And C has an exponent of 4, so 4 times 3 is 12. The only other thing you could do with this is, because you should know this, is -2 times -2 times -2. That would be -8. So you could change this to that, -8, and then you keep everything else. Okay? And finally, number 21. First, we're going to do the number part, just a simple division problem. 12 divided by -2 is -6. Then we're going to do this part. It's division. We have the same base. Keep the base, subtract the exponents. What exponent is here? A 1. So that's keep the base. 6 minus 1 is 5. And there's your answer. Any questions? Email them to me. Good luck, everybody.